to take you through a lower body stretching session. So we're going to work from our toes all the way up to our hips. Now for today's class, you're going to need a strap. So if you don't have a strap at home, I recommend just grabbing a resistance band or a belt. I often find that using a tea towel works quite fine. It's just going to be something you can hook around your foot while we're lying on our backs. So just make sure you have one of these. We'll be using it at the end of class. But yeah, let's get started. So we're going to start in probably my least favorite yoga pose, which is toe stand. So I want you to bring your knees hip distance apart, tuck your toes under, and then sink your hips back onto your heels, coming up into an upright position. So the weight is sinking back onto your heels, and you can definitely feel that stretch through the toes and through the middle and ball of the foot. Now, I'll be completely honest, this pose is just uncomfortable. I don't know anyone that likes this pose, but it's really effective in stretching through the toes and sort of that mid-line of the foot. And we won't be here for too long, probably about a minute more or so. I often find some people like to do sort of like breathing exercises, reaching their arms up and over their head. So you can do that if that works for you. Or you can just close your eyes down and just really embrace the pose and the benefits that it will bring. You have about 8 more breaths here. Just a couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, coming out really slowly, just walking your hands out in front of you, untucking your toes, and then maybe just lightly tapping the tops of your feet on the ground, and then just sitting back on your heels, letting your hands rest in your lap, and just taking a breath or two here. And then blinking your eyes open and making your way to tabletop pose. So hands are stacked underneath the shoulders. Knees are stacked underneath the hips. We're going to tuck the toes under. Inhale, lift the knees up. And then exhale, lifting the hips up and back for downward facing dog. So really grounding down through your palms in your down dog. Your feet are hip distance apart. You're wrapping your upper thighs towards one another so your heels are disappearing out the back of your feet. And then I just want you to walk your dog. So you're going to bend through the left knee, sink the right heel down to the ground, and then switch. Bend through the right knee, sink the left heel down. And then just keep walking your dog, bending through one knee and then the other. You should be feeling this up through the back of the leg, through the calves, and a little bit through the hamstrings as well. One more each side. And then just sinking both heels down towards the mat. And then inhale the right leg up and back behind you. And exhale, bring that right knee to the nose and step that right foot between the hands. So we're in a runner's lunge here. Lower that back knee down, untuck the back toes, and then shift the hips back as you straighten the front leg. So we're in a half split here. Now you can have a micro bend in that front knee. We're flexing through the front toes. Now if you can't quite reach the ground here in your half split, it's nice to have blocks or cans of lentils or something just to bring the ground a bit closer to you. Now I want you to inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, folding a little deeper. One more like that. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, fold. Bending into that front knee. And then inhaling your arms high to the sky. We're in a low lunge here. So this front knee stacked over the front ankle. The arms are reaching long. So you should be feeling this up through the left hip flexor. Now I want you to bring your right hand to your left forearm. Reach the left arm up and long, and then over to the right hand side. So you're using the right arm, the right hand to pull that left arm up and over. And that should really give you a much deeper stretch up through that left hip flexor. One more breath. Then lowering the hands down. Take the right hand to the right knee. And then bending through that back knee, take your left hand back to catch the left foot. So we're in a quad stretch here. Now we're going to draw that left heel towards the left glute here. So bending through the left elbow. And then gently release that back foot down, all the way down to the ground. Bring your hands down to frame the front foot. And then I want you to heel toe that right foot out to the right hand side of your mat and bring that right hand inside the right foot here. So we're in lizard pose. Now we're going to tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. And then I just want you to shift forward and back here. So really opening up through the inner thighs, the inner hips. And then lower that back knee down, untuck the back toes, and then roll onto the outer edge of that right leg. And plant the sole of that right foot on the ground. Roll onto the outer edge of that right foot. And plant the sole of the foot down. One more. Roll onto the outer edge. And plant the sole of the right foot down into the ground. Tuck the back toes under. Lift the back knee, and then we're going to sweep that right shin down and forward into a pigeon pose. So the right knee comes behind the right wrist. The left foot is behind the left wrist. Now, we're working towards getting that shin parallel with the top of the mat. I can tell you that I've been doing yoga for a long time. That has never happened to me. So my leg is at 45 degrees, which is totally fine. Sometimes I like to tuck my back toes under, lift my back knee off the ground, and just take my back knee back a little bit, and then releasing the toes. So you can stay here up in your pigeon pose, your half pigeon, or you can come down to your elbows. And then as you feel that outer hip and glute begin to release, you can always walk your hands out in front of you, bring your forehead down to the ground for full sleeping pigeon. Now, if you have a lot of space underneath that right glute, you can always just fill that void with a pillow or a block. And of course, if you have any knee pain, then I want you to roll over onto your back and take figure four with the right ankle crossed over the left thigh. Your arms taking hold of the back of your left thigh. So just choosing your options here. In yoga, sometimes we might feel discomfort in the poses, but we should never feel pain. And if you're in full sleeping pigeon, just walking your hands back in, underneath your shoulders, planting your palms down. Tuck the back toes under. Lift the back knee off the ground. And then just stepping back into your downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up and back behind you. And exhale, step that left foot between the hands as you draw the knee towards the nose. So we're in runner's lunge here. We're going to lower the back knee down, untuck the back toes as we shift the hips back and straighten that front leg for half splits. So you can have a slight micro bend in that left knee. We're flexing through the left toes. Now I want you to inhale, lengthen through your spine. And then exhale, fold a little deeper. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Last one here. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Bending into that front knee, planting the sole of that left foot on the ground. As you bring the arms high for your low lunge here. So once again, front knee stacked over front ankle, arms are high. You should be feeling this up through the right hip flexor here. Now I want you to take a hold of your right forearm with your left hand. Inhale, reach that right arm long. And then exhale, bring that right arm up and over to the left. So you're really using that left hand to pull the right arm up and over. It just gives you a slightly deeper hip flexor stretch. One more breath here. And then release the arms. Bring the left hand to the left thigh or knee. Bend through the back knee and take a hold of that back foot with your right hand for a quad stretch. Now you're just going to be aiming to draw that right heel towards the right butt cheek. Just bending through the right elbow. And gently releasing that right foot down to the ground. Take your hands down to the mat to frame the front foot, and then just walk that left foot out to the left a little bit. Bring the left hand inside that left foot. So we're in lizard pose here. Now I want you to tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, and then just shifting your weight forward and back here, letting your hips sink down towards the ground, really opening up through the inner hips, the inner thighs. And then lowering that back knee down, untuck the back toes, and then just rolling onto the outer edge of that left foot. And then planting the sole of that left foot on the ground. Rolling onto the outer edge. And then plant the sole of that left foot on the ground. One more time. Rolling onto the outer edge. And then plant the sole of that left foot on the ground. Tuck the back toes under. Lift the back knee. And then sweep the shin down and forward so that left knee comes behind the left wrist. The right ankle is in line with the left ankle is in line with the right wrist. So we're in pigeon pose here again. You can always take the option to tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, and just shift that back knee back a little bit. And then once again, you have options. You can stay here. You can come down onto your elbows if you're feeling quite open. And then once you can feel your glute beginning to rest down into the pose, maybe walking your hands out in front of you, bringing your forehead down to the ground for a full sleeping pigeon. Now if you feel any knee pain, please flip over onto your back and take that figure 4 pose that I demonstrated before. We'll be here for about 10 more breaths, so just allowing your body to melt down into the ground. And then just beginning to walk your hands back in underneath your shoulders. Ground down through your palms. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee off the ground, and then sweep that left leg back for your downward facing dog. Now this will be our last down dog here, so just taking any movement that your body might need. And then I want you to walk your hands back to meet your feet. Heel toe your feet so they are together, so big toes are touching. And I'll do this so I'm facing you. And then I want you to step that right foot in front of the left foot, bringing your pinky toes to touch. So we've got a bend here in the front knee, the right knee, and the left leg is straight. This is quite a good IT band opener and a little bit of hamstrings as well. So really feeling the bend in the right knee as you straighten the left leg. And of course, if your hands don't quite reach the ground here, you can always just bring your hands to your hips. Releasing through the head and the neck. And then gently step that right foot back to the right, bringing the big toes to touch. And then step the left foot in front of the right foot, bringing the pinky toes to touch, grounding down through all four corners of the feet. We've got a light bend in the left knee, but the right leg is straight. So you should be feeling the stretch up through the outside of that right leg, up through the right IT band and a little bit in the hamstrings. Releasing through the head and the neck. And then stepping that left foot back to the left. Heel toe your feet about as wide as your mat, taking your toes out and your heels in. So your feet are about a 45-degree angle. And then sit the hips down into your yogi squat here. So you might find that your heels are off the ground. That's totally fine. Now we're going to be here for a few breaths. So if this doesn't feel comfortable, then I recommend just sitting on a block or some books or a couple of cushions just to provide some support underneath the hips. Really lengthen up through the spine. Make sure we're not rounding through the spine. Using the elbows and the triceps to gently nudge those knees further apart. 3 more breaths here. And then just releasing your hands down and making your way into a seat. Straighten the right leg out in front of you and bring the sole of the left foot to the right inner thigh. Really grounding down through your sit bones. Inhale the arms high to the sky. And then exhale, fold over that right leg. Now you can have a little micro bend in that right knee. And of course, if you can't quite reach that right foot, you can always just bring your hands down on either side of the leg. Or if your strap is handy, you can just take your strap around your foot. Now the goal of this pose is really to close the gap between the belly and the upper thigh. So we're not rounding here to reach the foot. We're really lengthening up through the spine and then folding, really closing this gap between the belly and the thigh. Just notice how with each exhale you sink a little bit deeper. And then gently walking those hands back up your thigh. And then swapping legs. So straighten the left leg out. Bring the sole of the right foot to the left inner thigh. Really grounding down through your sit bones as you inhale, lengthen up through the spine. And then exhale, fold over that left leg. And remember, you have options here. Hands are on either side of the leg on the ground. You can use your strap. Flexing through the toes. Really lengthening through the spine and think about closing the gap between the belly and the thigh. And walking your hands back in. Straighten out the right leg next to the left leg. Now I just want you to remove the fleshy parts away so you're sitting right on your sit bones. Inhale the arms high to the sky. And then exhale, fold. And this is Paschimottanasana or seated forward fold. And once again, you have options here. You can just bring your hands down to the ground on either side of your legs. Or you can take your strap around your feet. Or you can always just bend through the knees, which will bring the feet a little bit closer to you. You can still feel that stretch up through the hamstrings. So just taking the option that works for you. Remember, we're thinking about length here through the spine. And then walking your hands back up your legs. Just bending through the knees, planting the soles of the feet on the ground, making sure your strap is next to you as you roll down gently onto your back. straighten out through the left leg and draw the right knee to the chest. Really squeeze it in. Now, taking a hold of your strap or your belt or whatever you chose to use today, just going to take that strap just around the ball of that right foot. So you have the strap in each hand. Now, just making sure that your shoulders are still grounding down on the ground. So we don't want to be kind of up here with the shoulders and upper back off. We really want the head and the shoulders on the ground. There is length in the left leg, and you're just gently drawing those toes towards your face. Now, if this is really uncomfortable for you, I recommend just bending through that left knee and planting the sole of the left foot on the ground. So just either taking that left leg out straight or planting the sole of the foot on the ground. Both options will give you the same benefits. You might notice with each exhale that you can draw those toes a little closer to your face. Now I want you to take the strap into your right hand and bring the left hand down on the ground, palm facing down. Just using the left hand as a little anchor. And then I want you to open that right leg out to the right. Now it's important here that the left hip doesn't lift off the ground, so only go as far as you can keep the left hip and the left side of the body grounded down. You should feel this up through the inner seam of that right leg. Maybe you'll be able to release the right elbow down to the ground. And then gently drawing that right leg up and just swapping hands. So left hand takes a hold of the strap, planting the palm of the right hand down on the ground, and then just gently letting that right leg drop over to the left hand side here. Remember, only going as far as you can keep that right shoulder grounded. You should be feeling this up the outer seam of the right leg, so up through that IT band and a little bit in the hamstring and the quad. And then drawing that leg up to center. And taking hold of it with your right and left hand, just taking one more squeeze towards your face. And then bending through the knee, unhooking the strap, and then just taking the hand, the right hand on the outer edge of that right foot. So we're in half happy baby pose here. So you're just drawing that right knee down towards the ground, down towards your armpit. Cross that right ankle over the left thigh, so bending through the left knee, planting the sole of the left foot on the ground. And then reaching through and taking a hold of the back of that left thigh for figure 4 here. Really flexing through both feet. And think about drawing that left knee towards your face, but pushing away with the right ankle. So you're creating resistance between those 2 points. Then release the left foot onto the ground, release your hands. Cross the right knee over the left knee. Take your hands out to a T. Shift the hips to the right just a few inches and drop the knees down to the left. So we're in a supine twist here. Maybe taking your gaze over the right arm. Inhale, coming back through center and squeezing that right knee into the chest and then releasing it long on your mat. Squeezing the left knee into your chest. And then once again, taking the strap around the ball of that foot. And taking your hand, both hands around the strap. So your options here again are to keep that right leg straight, or you can plant the sole of the right foot on the ground. Just choosing an option that feels right for your body. Now we want to keep the upper back, shoulders and head on the ground. So making sure you're not kind of pulling yourself up, but you're releasing down on the ground and then gently drawing the foot and the toes towards your face. Now I want you to take a hold of the strap with your left hand. Plant the right palm down on the ground beside you, and then just gently open that left leg out to the side. You should be feeling the stretch through the inner seam of the left leg. You might be able to bring that left elbow down to the ground to provide a little bit of support. And then gently drawing that foot back in. And then swapping hands, taking a hold of that strap with the right hand. Bring the palm of the left hand down onto the ground as you drop that leg over to the right. Now I find this IT band stretch the most intense out of the three. It's often the one that you find the most uncomfortable, that you need the most. And then when you're ready, drawing that leg up through center, taking both hands to the strap, and just doing one more gentle pull of the toes towards your face. And then bending through the knee, unhooking the strap from your leg, taking hold of the outside of that left foot with your left hand for a half happy baby pose here. So drawing the knee down towards the ground. Feeling this through the inner thighs. And then bending to the right knee, planting the sole of the right foot on the ground. Cross that left ankle over the right thigh. And then just reach through and grab the back of that right thigh for a figure four stretch here. Flexing through the toes. And once again, think about drawing that right knee towards your face, but pushing that right knee away with your left ankle, creating that little bit of resistance. Gently release the hands and lower the sole of the right foot down to the ground. Cross the left knee over the right knee. Take your arms out to a T. Shift your hips just a couple of inches to the left, and then just let your knees fall over to the right hand side. Taking the gaze out over the left arm. And then just gently drawing everything back to center. Unhook the left knee from the right knee. And then just let your knees fall out to the sides and bring the soles of your feet together for Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined butterfly pose here. Just want you to take either both hands to your belly or one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. We're just going to stay here for a few more breaths before we move into our Shavasana. Just feeling the rise and fall of your belly with each breath. And you can choose to stay here, or if you're ready for full Shavasana, then just lengthen the legs out long, letting the ankles splay to the sides. Release the arms beside you, palms facing up. We'll be here for a minute or so, and I'll call you out when it's time. But remember, you have the option of staying here as long as you want. Gently bring some movement into your fingers and your toes. Maybe circling your wrists and your ankles. Just bringing the legs together, reaching the arms overhead, interlacing the hands for a full body stretch. Pushing your hands above your head, pointing through the toes. And then bending through the knees, planting the soles of the feet on the mat. And then just rolling to one side. Maybe using your arm as a little pillow. And then gently making your way back into a comfortable seat, keeping the eyes closed down. Bring the hands together in front of your heart. Close this practice with one really deep inhale through the nose. And open the mouth and sigh it out. I honor the space inside you, which the entire universe dwells. It is a place of peace and love and truth and happiness. And when you're in that space in you, and I'm in that